where I come from, and that's the philosophy that you're talking about, we talk about life as a river. Life being a river, and you as a soul cross it, come back, cross it, come back, cross it, come back. But the Western philosophy is that life is a river, but you only cross it once.
Well, that's the Christian philosophy of like you live once, you go to heaven or hell.
Yeah, this is it. You only pass this way once.
I just don't believe that because it's not been my experience. You know, I go from my own experience, not from a set of beliefs. See, the problem with beliefs is that I have this image of like 5 hands pointing to the moon. Everyone's saying, what are you pointing at? The moon. And it's about the moon. But we've been arguing for centuries about which is the correct hand to point to the moon.
Well, what does that mean?
That means God. Here's God.
Yeah.
We're connected to God.
Oh, okay.
And yet we're arguing over, is it the Christian hand, the Muslim hand, the Hindu hand, the Buddhist hand that's pointing to that experience of oneness with God. It's not about the hand. It's not about theology. It's about the experience of connectedness with the essence of who we are. That's what we all should be exploring.
See if this makes sense to you. From where I come from, we call that, there's an idiom that goes with that. It says, Pat anek as in path, the word path, P-A-T-H, Pat anek, manzilek.
What's that mean?
Manzil is destination. Multiple paths, single destination.
Yes.
So is that what you are subscribing to?
Yes, yes, I would say the same thing. It doesn't matter what path you go on as long as you get to the destination.
The same destination.
We spent way too much time fighting over and having wars about and having intellectual debates about what's the correct path. And that's a waste of time, in my opinion.
So these are major shifts for a Westerner. These are major shifts for your family, for your community that you probably grew up in.
Well, there are millions of us who believe and think this way.
But when you kind of made that shift in your life, did you have to break away from a lot of community that you grew up in?
You know, my parents were traditional Christians who went to church every
say
Sunday.
That again? British?
Traditional.
All right, yeah.
Christians who went to church every Sunday, and but they noticed I was happy. So as long as I was happy, they
didn't get in your way.
They didn't get in my way, no.
And how many others in your family or community have you influenced in the way of your thinking?
I'd say my sister and my oldest brother.
Yeah.
My wife, for sure.
Yeah.
My children would all believe this way and experience life this way.
Across the world?
Across the world? Oh, gosh. You know, we've sold 125 million copies of Chicken Soup for the Soul books.
And
in India, the average book gets read by 5 people.
Right.
So you figure 500 million people have read these books.
But Chicken Soup for the Soul wasn't about this little thing you're talking about right now.
It was about principles embedded in stories.
Softer ones.
But the principle's in the story, and you don't even know the principle got into you.
All right, all right.
See, for example, one of the stories I tell in the first Chicken Soup book is called The Golden Buddha. If you've been to Bangkok, you may have seen the Golden Buddha.
Yeah.
It's about 3 meters high, and it weighs 5.5 tons of solid gold.
Yeah.
And when they didn't know they had such a thing in 1954 when they discovered it, they were lifting this very heavy clay Buddha up to move it from one side of Bangkok to the other, and it slipped, and a big crack went down through. And the head monk said, okay, we're going to cover it with a tarp because it was starting to rain, big piece of canvas to keep it dry. And that night he came out and shined a flashlight in, and a little light reflected back from this crack in the clay.
Yeah.
And he said, clay does not reflect light. There must be something else in there. I wonder what it is.
Yeah.
So they chipped away in the back where it wouldn't show if they were wrong, and lo and behold, they discovered this solid gold Buddha. And they didn't know it was there until then. Now, their best theory is that 300 years earlier, the Burmese were attacking Thailand, and they think that what happened was that they had covered this golden Buddha with clay, the monks in this monastery, to keep it from being stolen. And then they think all the monks were killed, and nobody knew. The secret died. And I tell that story to say that inside of us is this golden Buddha, golden Christ, golden essence. But we've been covered over with the clay of fear, self-doubt, limiting beliefs, theological beliefs, etc., rules that stop us from being connected to the essence of who we are. That's why we have to look inside. The word discover means to take the cover off of, discover something. You don't have to put anything new in anybody. You have to discover what's already there, the genius, the brilliance. And then there's some little tools you can learn, some techniques. But
is that one of your guiding principles in your coaching that you teach in
yes,
Success Principles?
Absolutely.
I love that.
The answers lie within, as we said before.
Very good. I want to ask you something else.
Yes.
Besides you, in the West, there are people like Covey, Stephen Covey, Daniel Goleman. There is Deepak Chopra, and of course Ken Blanchard. No? How are you different, or how are you similar to these thought leaders?
Well, we're all people that believe in the unlimited human potential. That people
All four of you.
All four of us believe in that.
Five of you, including you. I'm sorry. Five, including you. Yeah?
That's right. And I think every one of the people you mentioned has a very big heart, very loving person.
Yeah.
I mean, I know all of them personally.
Yeah.
They all work very, very hard to make a difference and to contribute. I would say they all have a deep spiritual concern, and they all have a practice of some kind, different view.
Yeah.
Daniel Goleman is a Vipassana meditation,
Fabulous,
Buddhist meditator.
Yeah.
Ken Blanchard is a very devout Christian. Deepak Chopra is, follows the Hindu teachings, meditates and prays every day, as I do. So I mean, I think we all are very similar in many ways.
Your Canfield School of Thought, your Canfield School of Thought with your success principles, 64 success principles, seems to have all the answers to troubles in life, to challenges in life, to issues in life. No? From your perspective, from your group of thinkers, from your team who you brainstorm with, the TLC, Transformational Leadership Council, is there something that you still want to answer besides material gains and tangible gains? Is there something that you're still looking for to answer?
Well, I'm always looking for a deeper connection to God, to be able to travel in even deeper realms of consciousness. Like right now, I've been studying with a Jewish teacher who teaches Kabbalah, which is an ancient form of Jewish mysticism.
Right.
And we're doing these meditations, taking these journeys into, for lack of a better word, outer space, inner space.
Both of them.
And there are more and more layers of consciousness. You think you've reached the top, and then you break through. There's something deeper you can know. So I'm just constantly wanting to know more, experience more, see more, be more.
And do you feel that there will be a time that you will be fulfilled and I'll say, I'm done, I've had it with learning and growing? Will there be a time in your life, you think? Will
I imagine the day I pass over will be that day.
So your soul will travel, your soul will continue the journey.
I believe it will, yes.
And where do you think it wants to go?
Where do I think it wants to go?
Your soul, yeah?
Probably just to the higher and higher realms of awareness and consciousness until there is what I call unitive consciousness, where there's no separation ever from
between you and
everything, the universe, cosmos.
This is beautiful stuff. All right. Okay. Now you teach success principles. A friend of mine wanted to know.
Yes.
There's a friend you probably know, a guy called Scott Friedman.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. He said, of all the principles you suggest, going from success to significance, what are the three best ones would you recommend?
Well, if I could have recommended only three, I would have written a much shorter book. But I think that to go from success to significance, I think coming from service rather than selfishness has to be part of that. Meaning that you achieve significance by doing something and making a contribution, having deeper meaning in life, not by material gain or success. And so looking for how can I be of greater service? You mentioned Deepak Chopra earlier. Deepak wakes up every morning and says in his prayers, how can I serve more people more effectively today? And so I'm constantly asking that same question. How can I reach more people and reach them more effectively and have more impact on their lives so they can create what they want? My life purpose is stated as inspiring and empowering people to live their highest vision in a context of love and joy. Inspiring through stories like the Chicken Soup books, empowering through books like The Aladdin Factor and the Law of Attraction books and the Success Principles, to live their highest vision, not mine, but theirs, in the context of love and joy, meaning that they're not going to hurt anybody. And I added recently, since the whole meltdown on Wall Street with the derivatives and all that, in harmony with the highest good of all concerned.
In harmony with the highest good of all concerned.
Because
ecology.
Yes, because what happens is if I don't consider everything and everybody, then one thing I do could bring the whole system down, as we saw in New York and around the world. So that we have to be careful about our ecology, the water, the food we eat, the air we're polluting, etc. So if what I'm doing actually is harmful to others, even though it serves me, then I don't support that. That's not part of my vision. I don't think that's the way the world was meant to work. Bruce Lipton, who wrote a book called The Biology of Belief.
Bruce Lipton,
He said, you know, what we now know about evolution is it's not survival of the fittest. It's survival of the fittest, meaning what species learn to adapt and fit into the current changing world are going to survive. And what we know now is people that are going to survive in cultures and companies are people and cultures that cooperate rather than fight, that are creative, that move towards sufficiency rather than to greed, meaning that how much is enough? You know, how many planes can you own? How many suits can you wear? You know, etc. And so there's a whole new model now where we're looking at having sufficiency rather than having a greedy amount of abundance.
My question that I was supposed to raise based on this point was that most all of you, you know, you're talking of wealth accumulation, success, prosperity, you know, living abundantly, and you know, just getting rich, getting all you want.
Right.
And you create goals and you have people chase goals. Yeah. And several of us, several speakers, business people amass a lot of wealth, amass a lot of tangible goods, you know? And then they start giving it back.
Right.
Yeah, there comes a time. Bill Gates is doing it.
Philanthropy,
Yeah.
yes.
So, but why gather it in the first place?
It's a good question.
Yeah, I only ask good questions, Jack. Why gather it in the first place? Yeah.
Well, I think that some people have become obsessed with gathering it.
Yeah.
Perhaps some people, it is their destiny to gather it so they can steward it better than perhaps the government or someone else would.
Yeah.
Maybe it's part of what they need to do to bring something forward. I used to really be upset about the British Empire and how much it had gone out and conquered the world.
So was I. I was really upset too.
Yeah. And yet, when I was sitting in Singapore about 5 years ago having dinner with a general in the Singapore Air Force, and I had just seen the movie Gandhi, which portrayed the British very badly in India.
Yeah.
And I was talking about that, and he said, "Oh no, thank God for the British." And I said, "Really, why?"
And this was an Indian with an Indian ethnic
He was an Indian ethnicity, but he was a general in the Singaporean Air Force. He said, "Thank God for the British." I said, "Why?" He said, "We'd have no postal system, we'd have no government, we'd have no railway system, we'd have no judicial system.
We wouldn't be speaking English.
We wouldn't be speaking English together." Well, that part is who cares.
Yeah.
But the reality is that maybe it was part of the destiny of the British to bring those kind of orders to the world, and for someone else to bring something else. And I don't sit high enough in consciousness yet to understand all that, but I think it's perfect because it happened, or it wouldn't have happened. And now that we're moving and changing and growing, that's perfect as well.
So that's recognition and appreciation of systems thinking over a period of time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When people you train and coach, you do hordes of people, you change their life. You know? Some of them don't succeed.
Yes.
Some of them break down and suffer. Yeah. What about those?
Well, most of the people I coach don't break down and suffer. They learn and grow.
Yeah.
Now, a one-day workshop, that's not enough. But if someone really studies with me, and what I recommend is that they literally read the book and do a chapter a week and take each one of those principles and live it for a week until it becomes more integrated.
Yeah.
So it takes about 2 or 3 years to master. But I've had people, I have a yoga teacher who took my seminar in 2007, and what she used to make for a yearly income,
This
she
is
now
in
makes
the US?
in the US, she now makes as a monthly income. So she's 12 times her income in 3 years. So this is what we see over and over and over. Now, not everyone wants to make money. Some people want to make a difference. Some people want to have athletic success. Some people want to create beautiful relationships. The principles work, whatever you apply them to, including spiritual growth and fulfillment. It's really up to you.
Never in your lifetime has there been a person who's come up to you and he said, "Jack, I've spent 6 months with you. I've spent $600,000 on you.
No one's ever spent $600,000 on me,
$60,000 on you, and my life hasn't changed. I want a refund." Has that ever happened?
I've had 3 people ask for a refund at the end of a week-long workshop, but other than that, no.
All right, good. So your success rate is good.
It's very good.
All right, we are coming to one more break. One more commercial break. People who pay for this show. And is there anything you want to do to wrap up what you just said? And before I go to the next question?
No, I think we're doing fine.
All right, so we'll take that break. And ladies and gentlemen, we are still with Jack Canfield, and we are going really fast. We'll take a 1-minute break and come back. This is Expat Insights, and I'm your host, Raju Mandhyan.